Okay, let's get started. Welcome, everyone. My name is Adam Greco, and I am part of Search Discovery, and I head up the SDEC. For those of you who are new to the SDEC, this is a free educational community in which we provide sessions related to 12 topics of digital analytics. Today, we're going to be talking about CDPs, which is a topic that I personally am excited to learn a lot more about. I keep hearing about it. Seems like a pretty big buzzword these days. And we are fortunate to have Peter Jakuš is going to be joining us to present and share all of his wisdom and knowledge on CDPs. Before I hand it over to Peter, if you have questions during the webinar, if you have a technical problem, please use the chat and I'll be there to monitor and see if I can help out in any way. If you have a question for Peter, you can put that in anytime during the webinar using the Zoom Q&A area, and I'll be monitoring those as well. And when Peter's done, he'll take as many questions as we have time for. So thank you again for joining. And Peter, I will hand it off to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me here. I'm very excited to spend the next 45 minutes with you and with the Search Discovery community. CDPs, it's like as you say, it's a big buzzword. A lot of things are said about CDPs, and it's also quite confusing because it's a buzzword and because people want to ride on that hype. So let's try to address that confusion together. So what I'm going to be, let's clear the plate at the very beginning, and let's set some basic definitions. So what is a CDP? What does it do? It's number one, centralizing customer data from multiple sources into a consistent unified customer database. And number two, exposing customer data to other systems, either for analytics or engagement or both. And part of the definition that was originally coined by David Rapp, founder of CDP Institute, was that it's supposed to be something that is marketer owned. And that was dropped from that definition over time. CDPs are still tools which are catering to marketers in the sense that when you do customer segmentations, they allow you to do it with visual builders without the need to know SQL, for example. But we see that CDPs are now becoming part of projects of different departments as well. And typical project now would involve marketing, but as well IT. Sometimes it can be driven by product or by some cross-channel or like cross-functional leaders focusing on customer experience. So that is the basic definition, and you will see like the flavors and the nuances later on. To really give the initial understanding, let's look at some typical CDPs and maybe let's put them into different groups. So one big group is the CDPs that are focusing on really these two parts. So centralizing customer data and exposing them to other systems. So Segment, Telium are very prominent examples. Then we have a group of CDPs that do that, but then they focus more on the orchestration and activation. So we are one of those, Exponea, and then you have several others. And then, so the difference here is that Segment would have much more broader out-of-the-box repository of integrations, but Exponea then would have native capabilities how to run campaigns, and Segment would depend on integration of the other tools. Both of these groups are saying that there are CDPs, and rightly so. Then we have the marketing clouds, which claim to do all of what CDPs do, and some of them do have the CDP as a separate product as well. Some of them not really. We'll cover that later. And then we have systems like MRCs, dynamic yield, which are, those two are quite different, which have the origin in something else. So MRCs was really marketing automation, dynamic yield, personalization, but they either like built a CDP or developed some functionalities, and they claim to be CDP now as well, and to a degree rightly so as well. So that's the basic. But now, before I get to the details, let me share something personally as well. Most of you have never met me, and I would like to have some icebreaker at the beginning. So I have a quiz here. This is a city where I lived for almost the last 2 years. And now this is a city where I'm living now. I moved on Saturday. So who would be able to guess where I lived in the last 2 years, what city is on the right and what city is on the left? And please, if you can just speak up or write in the chat. I have it open, or in the London on the left, on the right. Yeah. And hi, Jim. So I see some familiar names. Paris on the left. Very well. Well, yeah. And now you might be thinking why I'm showing these kind of random pictures from Paris and London and not Big Ben and not Eiffel Tower. Well, it's a very fascinating paper that was published, and it was an AI analyzing Google Street View photos, and they were they were really trying to distill what makes Paris look like Paris. And it's not the Eiffel Tower, because Eiffel Tower is only like one monument in the middle of Paris, but then there is all the rest of the Paris, which still is recognizably Parisian, but you don't even realize why. And the AI has distilled it into these elements. And what was interesting, what they did then is that they took this picture of a Parisian street, they gave it to an artist to draw a sketch, and this was the sketch, which looks like some city. Then they gave the artist the analysis of the AI, which was saying, this is what is the key part that is really Parisian. And that was a great guide for the artist, because what he created then was on the right, which, like, if you know Paris, it's much more Parisian. You have the street signs, which are very emblematic, the French windows, and even the type of balcony railings and the balcony supports. So I'm going to try to do something similar. And I'm going to try to give you kind of the distinguishing elements and patterns to look for in a CDP, and not only in the tools, but also in your problems and challenges. So you can then recognize if CDP is right fit for the problems that you are solving. How am I going to do it? So first, let's look at the state of the CDP confusion. Why is it actually so confusing? Then we'll explain what is a CDP, what it looks like, and how is it used. We'll talk about the industry shifts that I believe that you need to understand, and how to make sense of it all. And in the end, I will recommend some further resources, and I'll be happy to have a discussion as well. So if you are confused about CDPs, don't feel like it's your fault. It's not you, it's the industry. It's even the question like, what is a CDP? On g2.com, which is a software review portal, you have 146 vendors in that category. Winterberry Group, so it's a group of analysts similar like to Forrester and Gartner. They did an analysis of CDP market, analyzed more than 100 CDPs, and they said that only fewer than 20 they would classify as CDPs. So like there is a very different perspective depending on who you ask. Then what is adding to the confusion is that there are other vendor categories that use the same keywords, like, oh yeah, we are solving audience syndication, we are solving customer relationships, but they are offering really different capabilities. So we have CRM, that is customer relationship management, and think about these tools to be sales oriented and more often used in the B2B space or in like the low volume space. So CRM is great for handling kind of thousands of leads. Then you have DMP, so data management platform, which is typically advertising oriented. In the past, it was really third-party data. Now they are pivoting to work with the first-party data as well, or to support it even more. But the typical use case is really like creating an audiences for banner ads, for example. So communication to many, to audiences. Then CDP as a customer data platform differ from CRM in the scale that it's not for 1,000 leads, but it's actually for millions of visitors of your website or millions of subscribers to your emailing program. And as a difference to the DMPs, they offer the single customer view. So it's not communicating with the audiences, but actually building the customer profile and then being able to leverage rules that are so granular to the customer level. So that is one source of confusion hopefully solved. Then we have some categories that are not CDPs, don't even claim to be CDPs, but they actually might deliver some of the CDP use cases. So that can be ESPs, marketing automation. I mentioned MRCs or like Salesforce Marketing Cloud. So if you think about that you want to deliver really segmented and personalized emailing communication, something that CDP can empower, but it's something that marketing automation tools can empower as well. And then the personalization engines again. So that would be typically something happening on the website or like focused more on the personalization capabilities, not as the automation. And here we have a lot of overlaps as well. What I'm trying to say, if you are looking for a solution to your problem, it's don't be like dogmatic about the categories. And what is confusing, adding a lot of confusion are the vendors itself. So like Salesforce, CDPI Institute in 2019, they summarized it that we were looking forward to Salesforce releasing a proper customer data platform so they could start educate rather than confuse the industry. But like Salesforce, it's just emblematic how of the whole industry, their attitude. So I'll give you some examples. In 2018, CEO of Salesforce Marketing Cloud said CDP is a passing fad. Later on this the year, they promised to build a CDP of the future, but not now, but sometime in the future. Later on, they actually acquired a CDP. Later on, they acquired another CDP. So we would believe, okay, so they have solved their CDP, but no, just a week ago, they announced that they are ready to release their CDP. So you can see that even like the big players are struggling to formulate and communicate a clear strategy what to do with CDPs. Oop. And my animation is a little bit broken. Okay. So what it's creating is that like the buyers are not happy either. And Forrester summarized it in this way, that CDPs, what they deliver are sweeping promises. Most of the noise is from vendors. Use cases aren't always clear cut, and vendors pivot into the category just for the marketing. So let's try to solve it and focus on the use cases that aren't always clear cut. So what are the real CDP use cases that kind of, when you understand all of them together, you will understand what CDP do? So one pain point that they are solving is inconsistency across channels. You can see that it's like this is one retailer, and they on the left are communicating through the website, in the middle through social media, on the right through email. Each of the channels is using different narrative. They are promoting different collections, and it's inconsistent. CDPs by connecting all this data together and exposing the data to all the systems that orchestrate the communication, are able to bring some consistency. Another one, online and offline synergies. And this is kind of where the CDPs really shine, but it's not what most of the clients do, because it's kind of the more advanced. So online and offline synergy, it can be the ROPO effect, so research on online, purchase offline. And you can leverage a CDP to get data from your point of sale systems. If you are using loyalty cards, you can identify what is the customer and then connect that to the online journey of the customer, and basically connect the purchase with the marketing campaign and your budget investment in the campaign. So that's one level. But another level is even creating omnichannel journeys. So not just evaluation of the data, but actually creating experience for the customer that is leveraging the best from both channels. So here we see Sofology. It's a UK retailer of furniture. And on the right, there is a customer in the store with the Sofologist creating a profile. So like the Sophologist, they would help to choose some sofas to create a short list. Then they would save the selection in the profile of the customer. And then the customer comes home, and buying a sofa, it takes longer. They think about it and they can log into the same account and continue in the same journey. And as well, like when they reach out to customer service, again, they know who is it and what they were looking at before, because it's all connected. So this is a very nice example of what CDP can allow you to do. But it doesn't have to be just like this omni-channel, cross-channel connections. The other area is the customer. So CDP is customer data platform, and then it's creating meaningful segments of customers and communicating with them. Like what we have seen is a lot of the retailers, they have an issue with over discounting. It can be the cross-channel inconsistency as well, that like offline they try to show how they unique selling point is premium service and quality. Online, the digital team is leveraging every sale they can, and it's creating totally different experience. But also it can be different for the customer segments, that someone is prefers the convenience and like premium products, and you are pushing them the cheap products and the discounted. Someone else is really a bargain hunter, and you are pushing them the same. So what CDP allows you to do is to create meaningful segments of customers and then have separate communication strategy with the customers over emailing. So this is kind of like a boring use case, but it is how a lot of the CDP implementations show their worth, because a lot of retailers and e-commerce players and a lot of brands, they have an issue that they just don't know how to send the right amount of communications to the right customer, because it's not a one size fit all. So you need to understand that one customer prefers much more active communication and some other much rare, and that it actually even changes over time. So it's not, you can't solve it just by preference centers, but CDPs can show you what is the like actual engagement, and then create different frequency policies for different customer segments. And this is how a lot of our customers, they've proved the value initially when they start their projects. And the last one, which is from different angle and kind of shows you how the connection of data is useful, is that they allow you to treat VIP customers like they deserve. So you really move from kind of the channel-centric, campaign-centric communications to the customer-centric. And okay, this is the VIP customers and they will have different treatment, but also the vice versa. They will allow you to understand if your VIP customers are really VIP. And this is a real case study from a fashion retailer. They had a very active VIP program, and it was bringing them a lot of revenue. They were happy about it, but the actual value of orders which was much higher than the revenue that the VIP segment was bringing them. What was the difference? It was the return rate. So like they had this big group of people that were part of their VIP program that they were ordering like 5 times a month, and 4 times out of 5 they would return the products. So the retailer was actually losing money on every of these subsegment of VIP customers. They were paying extra for like premium discounts and for engagement campaigns, and they were losing money on the logistics. And the marketers didn't know, because what they saw is the revenue. So they actually, when they brought in the CDP, where they connected, apart from the marketing campaigns, also the product return rates and the cancellations and the discounts and all of that, they saw that what appears to be a VIP is not a VIP. All right, so these use cases should give you the understanding what is a CDP, and now I would like to actually show you how it looks like when I figure out how to go into the platform. Cool. So this is example of Exponea, but 99% of the CDPs would have something similar looking. And this is like the core of all the use cases that I mentioned, and it's the single customer view. So what it means is that here you have different events, and you can see that there is, so let's go even further, that there is some session start. So it's a website visit from Chrome. You can see what banners have you shown on the website. You can see that they viewed some categories. So this would be all like front-end tracking, and this will be actually delivered by the platform. And then cart update, checkout, purchase. Quite often, this would be connected through the server side. So from the e-commerce system directly to the CDP and not going through the front-end JavaScript. Then here we have loyalty update. So that could be from a third-party loyalty system or from like their ERP, CRM system. Then you see that you are, based on that, you are adding people to a retargeting audience. So this is the data out. And here you see store visit. So that can be really connected through their loyalty card. Or they logged into the Wi-Fi in the store, and for that they had to give their email to be able to log into their Wi-Fi, and so you connected there as well. And here you see that they have made a purchase in that store, and that is in the same profile. How is it possible that the CDP is able to connect all this together? Is that it's using different levels of IDs. So if it's someone coming to the website, you don't know anything about the person, you would leverage a cookie. After a while, that person will sign in or like sign up to a newsletter, make a purchase. Then you would know that this cookie is actually this person. And that can happen several times. And then you can have like several anonymous profiles merged into the same customer profile. So that is the single customer view. Now, these IDs can be different. It can be email, it can be phone, it can be card ID, like your backend ID, or anything that you have that you recognize as a unique identifier of the customer. And then you can see that you can track. This is all demo data, so don't worry, it's not a real person. You can track attributes of the customer, but as well, what the CDPs allow you to do is from the raw data that was tracked, you create some abstractions. So for example, here there is segmentation, and you can see, oh, this is a completely passive audience, but they are in the platinum loyalty status, and the RFM segmentation is saying it's at risk. It's a demo platform, so you can see that it's duplicated. And you can calculate like what are average days between purchase, or you can do predictions. Now, what you have here on the right, that would be common to all the CDPs. And here as well, like the profile, the ID resolution, that would be common to the all the CDPs. And then how much of the analytics can you do on top of that? That's where they can differ. All right, so that's the customer profile. Now let's go back into the slides and let's try to summarize that. So we have the single customer view, and CDPs allow you to connect that. So that means that they need to have the APIs, SDKs for the apps, for websites, etc., etc., and direct connections as well. Then they unify that and create the profiles and resolve identities, and they make it accessible, and they make it accessible. And that's kind of the core definition. But now the core definition is pretty vague. So if you define a tractor in a similar way, this kind of fits the definition of a tractor. If you follow the definition, this is what you get. So there are, and you can see that in the market, like people are drawing similar tractors. So for example, Intercom, which is a great tool that we use as well, but it's really like a customer chat tool, is saying that they have a future customer data platform. But when you say look at their positioning, they don't actually say that they deliver something like that. So just be careful when you hear that someone fits the definition. So that's why the definition gets broader and broader. And one key part there is like the omnichannel orchestration. That's not that you just make the data accessible, but you are able to drive the communications through different channels. So how it looks like again, so you can better understand, is that you have different flavors of kind of similar communication flow builders, where you can always set the trigger. So this is very simple now, simple one called like now, but you can set something on event that it will be only when somebody adds something to the cart. And here, this is the key. Here you have segmentations that are leveraging all the customer data from the single customer view. And here, like this part of the flow will go only to the champions and loyals. You can see that it's 600 customers. This will go to other group, 15,000 customers. And then you can say, okay, so to this, I want to have an email campaign. Here, I want to have another type of email campaign. Here, I want to have SMS reactivation. But that's just like a simple example. You can connect all these different platforms, and it depends on the CDP, how much they allow you to do within the platform, and how much of that it's integration to other platforms. But they all like should at least allow you to orchestrate that. So let's go into the presentation, and we have to speed up. Oh, parts of this slide didn't load. Okay, so what do we have as a CDP vendor types? Let's look. Gartner is saying that we have some smart hubs, marketing clouds, data integration, CDP toolkits. Now, Forrester, they would call it different. Like they have they say that there are pipes for distributing data. Insight systems, engagement systems, mid-market. So let's put some examples there. So the pipes for distributing data and the marketing data integration is, I would say it's the same, and segment is one of the examples. Insight systems, oh, I see, and now this is what is not showing. So insight systems, I had an example, for example, Lytics. Let's show the slide like this. Oh no, it's not even here. All right. So the engagement, where I was, the insight systems that could be analytics, so something focused more on kind of the analytics part, engagement systems that support basic personalization. So here on the right, I wouldn't dare to give an example because they will get insulted that it's saying basic personalization. Then the mid-market cross-channel campaign management solution. So that's something like us, like Exponea. But I would argue that it's not only mid-market, but it's ready for the enterprise, a lot of our competitors as well. Then the marketing clouds, it's the likes of Adobe, Oracle, Salesforce. And then the smart hubs could be like Blueven, for example. So how they are different from the cross-channel execution is that they have more of the orchestration, but not actually, you are not able to build so many different type of campaigns for all the different channels within the platform. And then the CDP engines and toolkits, it's very special. It's very like for kind of IT-driven projects where they are building something themselves. And Jahia is the example that Gartner mentions. I have never encountered a project where we would compete with someone like that. It's just so different. So what is good is when you understand like who are you facing with. How do I now switch? Because it makes you avoid some mistakes. What are the sources of disillusionment? What Forrester is saying, they're saying that a lot of the CDPs overpromise and underdeliver, and it's they like paint this picture about all this cross-channel consistency, what I showed you in the use cases, but it's just difficult to actually integrate and deliver all of that. So what is Forrester saying and recommended to the vendors is that they need to expand the integration capabilities by providing analytics or providing more AI or providing more execution and then specialize in that sense. So I see that like there will be space for really integration CDPs like segments, and then the most of the others will go one of these other direction. And that's actually like what a lot of our competitors are doing, and we as well. Like on top of the CDP, we say that we are customer data and experience platform. Blue Shift is saying they are customer data activation platform. And you have flavors of like this CDP plus something in different forms. What it is that you have the web optimization and the delivery as a part of the campaign. And then it differs how much of the analytics part is there as well. So kind of AI-driven predictions and real-time analytics. And then some CDPs can really focus on the integration and the analytics. Some can focus on all of that, but obviously they wouldn't be able to compete in push notification capabilities with a specialist. And some focus just on the integration. So how to make sense of it all? Because I haven't helped that much yet. I just kind of bring more and more details that perhaps are bringing even more confusion. So I love this article. When I was doing research, I was trying to kind of put some recommendations together. Then I stumbled upon Joe Stanhope's article from 2018, and it put it well together that it's a chaotic category that aspires to address a chaotic challenge. So what is my recommendation here is to actually focus on the challenge, because quite often we see that the prospects that are coming to us, they are not so sure what they want to solve. And sometimes it's this shiny object syndrome that, yeah, we heard about CDPs and it seems like we should look at it. So here is a recent inquiry that I've seen on Measure Slack. So looking to check out CDPs at our organization. This is the short list, which is like everything but not short. Now, what is interesting here that they really put together totally different type of CDPs. So you can see the clouds like Adobe and Salesforce, which I wouldn't recommend looking at if you really want to have like vendor agnostic solution, because they work probably better with the interaction with the other ecosystem of those clouds. Then you have like the Exponents and Blue Shifts, and then you have the mParticle, Segment, and Telium. So like really different. And like when I was trying to think like how would I recommend to this person something, what was really helpful, what they said is they want to move away from the direct application to application integration. So that clearly tells me, okay, So segment, deal, human particle, that might be kind of the first group I would look at. And then next is the activation of cross-channel touchpoint audience data, and see how it's missing the detail, because it can be so many use cases. If they would have it vice versa, that the first priority would be the activation, and they would actually understand if it's like mobile focused activation, or like cross-channel in general, or more email focused, then it tells you again different story and different segment of the vendors you should look at. So it's really key to sort out the challenge. And so I'm coming to the end, conscious of the time. What Joe was recommending is that you should realize, and now just let's focus on the yellow part, that CDPs, it's a tool. It doesn't replace a holistic data management strategy. So you need to understand how it will impact the marketing operation and processes and other environments. So just realize that CDP is just part of your stack. And you can't even answer a question like what CDP should we look at if you don't understand the current state of the stack and your future plans with the stack, but also the operational and people side of the organization. Because we have seen that like when CDP should deliver a value, it actually needs to put like the marketing and data people together. And I'm happy to have like Jim Stern here. I was listening to his podcast when he was talking with Gary Angel, and he was saying that he's coming to companies, helping them to leverage AI. And what he does is he just puts the people together to talk in one room, and they realize that marketing has interesting problems and data science has actually the skills. And then it can work when this communication starts going. And it's with the CDP, it's the same. There is as much kind of organizational change as the tech stack change. And this was from 2018. What I would add, the 2020 perspective, and see what I did. Like I tried to, because Joe Stanhope is for me, it's like the emblem of like really smart, respected person. I tried to present myself in a similar way, and took like what makes Paris Paris, what makes the expert expert. So you see the black and white photo, and like wise looking expression, or I'm not so sure. So what I'm saying is that now it's not just about the CDP strategy and the holistic data management, but it's actually the whole market of CDPs is shifting to be more than a CDP. So it's really looking at the customer centric transformation. And so it's like organizational change towards customer centricity and thinking about personalization, but not just in the marketing level, but how personalization drives customer convenience, and how kind of privacy and data ethics will be part of it. And zero party data could be like the metaphor which puts it together. So basically collecting data in a transparent way with the active participation of the customer, because the customer knows that the data will be used for the convenience of that customer. And then the whole organization can change to be more customer centric. We see that a lot of our clients, they actually, you would expect that CDP is owned somewhere in marketing or like somewhere in data, but it's actually they have weird roles that the people who are acquiring CDPs, and it's quite often cross-channel. I mean, cross-functional, reporting to the CEO and really taking care of the CRM team, taking care of the customer experience team, quite often even like the transaction refunds and all of these processes, and then the product side as well. So we see that like CDP can be a kind of driver of that. And here is a review from one customer that I believe delivered something like that. And I'll put a link for the review, but what I want to highlight that they are saying that they are using the CDP for user retention. So really having RFM segments and then delivering different communications to different people in the segments. So that is empowered by the single customer view, and that is giving them the customer understanding, but it's also driving new processes and routines, and kind of pushing the digital maturity of the business, because A/B testing became like a testing became part of the culture in the organization, at least in the marketing part, and they are doing really these customer-centric tests. So not separate campaigns, but a segment that goes across all touch points. And then how kind of they deliver the value initially is really having the omni-channel. So like, you know, that a customer is on your website, you communicate through the banners. They just left the website or the app, you communicate through the push, mobile or browser. They haven't been active for a few days, you send an email. The email was bounced, so you send an SMS. None of this works, so you start the retargeting campaign where you pay money for. And if you have new channels, you add it to the CDP or to the whole stack. So what I'm saying is that you should look at your like long-term strategy and the stack in whole, and then realize what is the use case that you want to deliver now, what is the use case or like the strategic capability that you want to deliver in the next few years, and how CDP or other similar category could be driver of that. Because what Gartner predicts, like a lot of these analysts, they would disagree with my definition that like now the CDP is, I'm saying that don't look at CDPs, look at it much broader. But we see that the market is shifting the direction. Gartner is saying that 70% of the CDPs will disappear by in 2 years, and what they predict what will have high impact and will kind of gain maturity in the 5 to 10 years is the customer data ethics and the personalization. So really what I'm seeing is the part of the customer centric part. So I'm hoping that I gave you now the tools to recognize where you are and that this is Paris clearly, and you see why is it Paris. And here are some resources if you want to read more. So some of that are just reports and some like cheat sheets. The last one is interesting one where it was like really informal chat that I just discovered yesterday. So I haven't even finished it, but I liked it because it was a lot of people that you would know, like Charles Farina, for example, and they are giving their unfiltered perspectives if you should CDP or not. So thank you very much for your attention, and sorry for taking too much time. So let's see what we can do now with the discussion.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Peter. So I think what we're going to do, since we are out of time, if anyone has any questions, please put them in the Q&A. We will download all of the questions, and I am going to provide them to you in a Google Doc, Peter. And then what you can do is if you have a couple minutes, maybe you could answer some of the questions, and then I will post that in as a PDF document in the Slack group, just because I want to be mindful of everyone's calendar. So if I'll keep the meeting open for another minute or two if anyone wants to post any more questions. But thank you so much, Peter, for sharing all of your wisdom on CDPs. And we look forward to getting some of your answers to some of the questions. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much as well. And if someone like wants to discuss more, just add me on LinkedIn and send me questions. I'm getting so many sales requests on LinkedIn, so I would be happy to get actually someone wanting to discuss something and not really sell me anything.
Okay, awesome. Okay, well, thanks everyone, and we will see you at the next SDEC session. Thanks so much.
Thank you.